Hi, I'm Randy Chappell. I'm the lead interpreter with the Memphis Deaf Connect. Been here, oh God, a long time. Certified interpreter. This is the workshop number 4 of 4. This is about different aspects of community interpreting. The first one was about the physical aspects, the mental, the emotional, and now the social. Okay? Let's first talk about diversity. Well, and then again, let's don't. There's a lot of workshops that talk about diversity. I will not be talking about that per se because this is more of not a group think activity. This is something that I offer from my few years of experience, the situations I've been involved in, what other people have suggested, and maybe it has worked, maybe it has not worked. But this is more of the aspect from this quote that I offer. We have more similarities than we have differences. So let's keep this in mind as we go in, actually to every appointment that we go into. But here's some points to make that hopefully as obvious as possible. Biases. Things are going to come up in your mind that you think, I'm not sure I like that, or that's not my, taste. But if you have those biases when you go into an appointment, try to capture them and just stick them in your pocket. Because there's going to be a lot of things that come up that you're not going to agree with. There's going to be some things you agree with so much it might color your opinion, your way of interpreting, your way of hearing something and interpreting that, how you do a facial gesture when you hear these things. This is a profession. Your profession depends on how well you take things as, professional as you can take it. What does professional mean? Well, to do the job what is necessary and keep the personal sort of out of the way. It's a very simple way to think about that. For good or bad, these things that come up, these prejudices, may come up as from the beginning, from the time that you accept or reject an interpreting appointment. And for many reasons. Where is the appointment? What agency is offering the appointment? What is the situation? When you consider taking an appointment, I always encourage that you take what you can. Because you always learn something. If you don't learn something, then find another business. But if you can take the appointment and just go in with the open mind, I always applaud that and encourage that. Now, always remember this too, that it's going to happen. If it's the client or the agency that might use what I heard in that movie, the Star Trek movie, Mr. Spock said the word colorful metaphors. Well, it's cussing. It's dirty words. Just remember that the other person, that the parties that's involved in the conversation that you will be involved in interpreting, they may use them on a regular basis. It may be something that is used for emphasis. And it may be important that they know exactly what words are being used. You're not a filter. You're the bridge of communication, no matter how bad or pretty or ugly that communication might be. Now, let me tell you something you already know. That's what I've been doing all along, but here's another one. Your neighborhood may be different than another neighborhood. Be sure you have your safeguards up, like locking your car, Making sure your cell phone is fully charged before you go into an appointment. Maybe even thinking about what shoes you're wearing. You may be walking. In some neighborhoods, you may be running. So just be sure you are prepared in that way. Sounds more physical, but this is the social aspect. We're talking about dealing with people. You might need some money. My ashtray is full of coins. I have quarters, I have nickels, and everything I might need for meters, or maybe I just need some kind of a drink or something, Yes, what kind of drink? Don't ask too many questions. Having these things will help you relax and be more prepared. You know you've got it. Okay, move on to the next step. Try to have everything taken care of so when it's time to focus on what you're doing, and that is what? Interpreting some kind of appointment. Yeah, bring it up again. There's 3 languages you have to know in this business. English, obviously. Sign language would be the second. But the third I like to use with the suffix "ease" at the end of it. It may be post office ease, maybe court ease, medical ease. That language that is used at that place where you're going. Almost every job you go to has their own vocabulary. It's amazing how many times in this office, the interpreting office, that we say the word interpreter. If we really counted it, we'd probably count more than the stars in the sky, and that's on a daily basis, but that's fine. But having those other things ready so that you can focus on that ease, that other language, just makes things a whole lot better for you, and makes you a little more relaxed and able to get into it and help get it done and help you to get out. A few places are going to have security issues because of these social things that we have to deal with. So, someplace like a court or IRS, some of these places that have security officers could escort you to your car after your job is done. So that's something to think about. You can always ask for that kind of help. Remember, there's usually some cameras around. So that security sort of helps you feel that maybe the social aspects of things may be under control, so to speak. All right. Now, many times you're going to be assigned an appointment that has a team interpreter. All right, now you're getting a little more personal. You've got somebody who's there for the same reason, but with a different background. We all have different backgrounds. That's going to happen. Face it. May have a different lunch habit. Maybe their break time ritual is different. Some smoke, some don't. Some like to walk, some would rather read the book. Some's got to call their husband. Some's just got to call and see what's the next appointment. But there's different things that might happen during a break time. You can't expect that your break time will be with that person. And that's okay. Maybe you just want to sit and talk. Got no problem with that. Just saying, respect the differences. But when that clock is on, you're going to have to be ready to deal with those eases. Okay? That is the expectation. That is the professional part. That is the code of professional conduct aspect of doing this, no matter what the social situation might be. Now, some people are going to speak in their accent, their dialect. That is something to expect. That is something you're going to have to deal with. Maybe the other interpreter is more adept at that accent than you are. Fine. Deal with that. It may be something that they've experienced in their background that you have not. So just change position for that time. But again, when you're teaming, it doesn't mean you're off. It means you are there to assist the best you can. So try to catch it the best you can and move on. Now, make that note later if that assignment was just so difficult you could not understand that person, then maybe that's one of those appointments that I'll encourage you to say, well, maybe not this next time. Get another person, and that's okay. If that's too hard to get it, if it doesn't sound like English, and that's what you're used to, then maybe that's not the appointment you need. We'd probably find you another appointment somewhere. All right, now, moving on. Borrowing money. A lot of people look at borrowing money as a daily thing. It may be the client. It may be the person you go to interpret for. It might be your team interpreter. Maybe it's you. Borrowing money, no matter how it works, always makes people feel a little uncomfortable. There's just something about that. And I don't think it's a trust or whatever, but when I'm walking in downtown Memphis, I didn't really plan to bring a few dollars for those people that asked for the dollars, I planned to have money for my parking, probably for my lunch, or maybe I'm going to pay for my car tag while I'm downtown in between assignments or something. But I don't usually think in the morning, oh yeah, that guy will probably be sitting on the corner, and then there's that woman that sits in front of that building, she's wanting to. I don't usually think that way. If that's something you cannot do, then don't do it. But money is always an issue. Let's not make it an issue if you don't have to. Be prepared for what you think you need, and try not to put any pressure on other people about either borrowing or owing. What'd Reagan say? Just say no? That's my suggestion. Do your budget before you go to the job. That really does come under the Code of Professional Conduct as ethical business practices. And it's probably stretching it, but that's where I put it. Now, is it a social? This is a social thing. Why? We're working with people. So when you are interpreting, for me, I like to give a good show. I will act the part. I will take on the role of the doctor, and then of the patient, and then the doctor again. I go back and forth. I'm not split, just swapping out. Okay? Act like you are enjoying what you're doing. Act like you know what you're doing. It's really troubling if somebody, you ever say, it's an old Three Stooges thing I saw way back. The guy says, hey, what did he say? He said, yeah. I don't think so. There's something else involved there. What did you get rid of? What did you take out? No matter what background you're from, if you know there's more information there, you're going to want that. You never know, when you go into, say, a store like a Walmart. I can go anywhere in Memphis, and I've just gotten used to it. Anywhere. Hey, you're that finger flipper, aren't you? Yeah. And I may have never remembered seeing this person before. I remember one time in Tucson, I said, have we met? I said, well, yeah. I said, oh, really? Where? Well, it was a traffic ticket class. Oh, really? Well, okay. And we talked. I just don't remember. Oh, yeah, well, no, not really. I was sitting in the back. Oh. That's maybe their social aspect of how that thing worked that day. But this profession, we've got a long way to go. This is, we work with doctors, we work with lawyers, we work with big money people usually, so maybe business owners and things. And you have to almost convince these people that we are professionals also. That is one of the hardest things to do, as you well know, especially those who deal with billing. You send out a bill to a doctor and they say no, they don't want to pay for this. Well, maybe they don't realize how much school we have to go to, how many workshops like this that we have to attend or watch or, give attention to. How we dress, how we impress, how we try to go out and do. So make it look like they're getting their money's worth, especially those people who are paying for it. We probably already know the deaf person. Often you meet the first time and you have a chance to talk with the deaf person, but when it's time to go up to the supervisor or to the judge or to that doctor, once they come in, you've got that brief 5 minutes. Maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's an hour, but maybe it's just 5 minutes. And that's your time to shine. Give them what they're expecting plus. I try to show them that I love what I do, that I'm pretty good at what I do, and that I'd be willing to come back again. So give them that first impression, not just by your looks, but how you do, how you feel, how you react, and how you present. We're visual, remember that. Sometimes the social aspect shows up in maybe a religious situation. Let's specify, let's go with funerals. I say funerals because of the different churches that's involved. Now, in the South, we have so many churches, and there's probably one on each corner. Maybe an old grocery store has now become the temple, So we have those. A lot of people, interpreters too, maybe if they belong to this faith, do not feel comfortable going to another faith or denomination place of worship. That's okay. That's something to consider as you're accepting or denying interpreting appointments. So that's something that can be taken care of in the first place. But understand that that is an issue that might come up. Now, when I do a funeral, I don't have the hymn book memorized in any denomination. Page 73, 73, I know that. But anyway, I don't know them all. And in a funeral situation, songs may be sung. Now, deaf people love music sometimes, but as a population, not really. And many could care less about the music. They understand that's important to the hearing, okay? When a song comes up in a funeral, many times I will sit down. I will use that as my break. I encourage that, and I will try to warn the deaf people, I'll probably not be signing the songs. That kind of gives them, especially if they're in the family of who has lost somebody, that gives them sort of a chance to kind of sit back and not be staring at somebody who's going, I think they said this. I don't know the song, but it goes like this. And I look like Lawrence Welk or something, and I'm not interested in looking like Lawrence Welk. I can sit down, relax, because there's going to be a lot of emotion in the words what the minister may be saying. There may be a lot of emotion in meeting the person, depending on who it is. Maybe it's a baby that's passed. Grandfathers, grandmothers, not making that any lighter, but that's usually a little easier to take. Well, they've had the long life. But babies make a big impact, and it's very hard to deal with some of those. So when there's a funeral going on, sometimes that deaf person needs to take a break too. And if it's a song, they're kind of going to sit, look to see who else they might can chat with, if it's somebody that's not into the singing also. So I take advantage of that moment of decreased interest. Okay? Now, everybody expects the minister to be able to come up with some words of comfort. And that's what we're there for. This is Randy talking. So when the words come up, whether it's the minister, the guest, one of the family, sometimes the family will come up and they will give maybe 2 minutes of some kind of expression. Perfect. And of course the prayers. So I always be sure that I get that program before I go up so I can kind of get an idea, oh, that's going to be a song, okay, that's going to be a song there, okay. And if I have that chance to talk with the person who is in the family or the family, whoever is deaf, and let them know, I probably won't interpret the song. And 99 times out of 100, got no problem with it. The clothes. Now, clothes are very much an impressive part of what we do and how we are perceived and how we are seen. We can pick the clothes that we want to wear. We can pick how to wear them. Wear them up to the waist, wear them down. They stay at the waist, guys. With the deaf, we have to be it's much more important to be strict about how we wear the clothes. The dark clothes. This would be fine. It's a dark contrast. But even though we know how to dress, the deaf person may be wearing something that is just god-awful. Maybe those pants are down to the knees. Maybe the colors of the clothes are the Grateful Dead tie-dye. Red, yellow, green. And we are expected to be perfect on our reading what they're saying. What's the matter, can't you read? I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit blind right now, okay? But we have to deal with that. Now, how they are perceived by the person that we've gone to see, whether it's a boss or a job interview or whatever, the other person is going to make their own judgment. They may look at us and go, okay, good, all right, professional, all right, that's good, that's what we hope. That's what we plan, that's what we prepare for, that's what we studied for all this time. That person's there for whatever reason they're there for. And they will become judged then. They're the ones that are going to be looked at. That may affect how the agency person talks to them. Oh, you're dressed so well. Okay, good. I'm glad. That's usually the end of it. But when there's some kind of a negative thing, they probably never say it. But in their tone of voice, the way they kind of look, or if they don't look, how they judge this person to be able to follow instructions, or as you can well imagine now that I brought up the subject. If somebody's wearing that red and yellow shirt with the lip piercing, that's going to be a little distracting, not just to us, but especially to the agency person. Again, we probably already know that person. We probably already met them or seen them before or something. But the agency person now is going to have probably their first time to meet a deaf person. And if they come in looking like, they're dressed up in what is the style, as it's always called, but that's the style. Fine, we're not coming to do a style, but it's too late now. We got to go deal with this. It may influence that agency's person of deaf people as a whole. Not much we can do about it, other than if they ask, do all deaf people act like this? It's, of course not, sir. No, ma'am. If you get that chance to maybe correct an image or an impression, then we can do that after the appointment, when you're doing your business, getting your form signed and things like that. So if that does come up, advocate. And remember that lag time may be important, that little delay. If it's very hard to read or see, or, because of the setting, and it's hard to see what they're saying, or you're just not sure because maybe they're just kind of, hey, there's accents in sign language too. You have those people that sign very flourishy and they're very clear, and it's very nice to watch because it's so easy to interpret. You see, everything is just so right on the spot. Then you get those that's kind of like, yeah, just gonna be like this. And that's their style, guys. That's how they do it. If it's something important, and maybe they'll adjust a little bit, but maybe they're not a good presenter. Not everybody can do this. Not everybody is good at expressing their opinion or presenting information. We have to do the best we can to get the communication passed, whether they're doing a good job of it or not. Take the time to clarify if you need to, but then also maybe just explain to the agency person, your contact person, well, the light's not very good. Let me try this again. Sound like you're being professional about it. Even a plumber has to say, well, I've got to find the valve first. I need to make sure I've got the right part. In this business, let me make sure I've got the concept right. Looks like he named a couple other people. I want to be sure I've got everybody in the story just right so I can tell you. It's okay. But if it happens for every statement, we got a problem. Keep it to a minimum, but clarify when you have to. Social events, you don't get to do that very much, but I've had my chance. Going to a reception or an office party. You may be the only one there, other than the deaf person, that knows sign language. Oh, some people in the office have enough interest to come up with, I know my ABCs, and maybe they know, 22 of those. So, maybe you've gone to the party and then it's time for dinner. You've already done the introductions and whatever they've done from the head table. They've introduced the guests. Maybe the boss has arrived. You're all sitting at the table. Well, guess what? You're probably going to be signing with this person all to their dinner. You may have to eat with one hand, keep one eye up, keep one eye here so you don't stab your fork into the wrong thing like your other hand or something, butter the jelly. That's probably not what you wanted to do. Even though you may have just spent 4 hours of interpreting, and now it's a lunchtime thing, one of those all-day convention things, then it's time to go to lunch. That person wants to talk all through the time because they've not had a chance to talk. You have. You've had 4 hours. Maybe you would rather, no, I don't want to sign right now. Give me 1 hour break. It's gonna come up, guys. You have to use your best judgment on that. If you really need to escape, well, just explain, I'll be back. I have learned over the years that usually the more educated the deaf person, the more likely they tend to just let you go. Go on, I'll be fine. Okay. So good luck on your appointment selections. Cell phones and pagers. This is a major part of 21st century life. Doesn't matter who you are. I mean, 30 years ago, I just wanted to keep some quarters in my pocket if I needed that payphone. And trust me, there was plenty of payphones around if you didn't know that. Believe me. But now you have that constant companion, trusted even more than a spouse. My cell phone says this, or I have my cell phone, I'll be okay. Why? Everything's in there. Your schedule. Let me check my schedule. Let me check my email. I have pictures, wait. And those things come up all the time. And a lot of people cannot keep that cell phone less than 1 foot away from their face. It's very hard for people to put it down. It's very hard for them to leave it in their purse. It's right there. It's just like an 11th fingernail. It's there. We have to deal with that. Those things will come up maybe every few minutes. Maybe somebody's waiting on a phone call. As a video relay interpreter, many times they say, go ahead and call, and then they immediately look at the cell phone. They've answered. Hello? The deaf person may say, very popular sign, hold. If that happens, and somebody's already started talking, especially on a phone or even in a class, I go ahead and sign. They know what the time is for. I don't think